Welcome to your Rally Point podcast. Organizations need a reason to exist, and people need a reason to care, but none of it matters if you can't connect the two. This podcast is where nonprofits, advocacy groups, and mission-driven organizations discover their rallying point. It is your go-to resource for mobilizing support, building authentic connections, and driving real results. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's rally together to create the impact you're meant to make. This is your Rally Point podcast, brought to you by rallycorp.com.
Hey, James here with Rally Point Podcast, today with a special guest named Sandi Fox. Now, Sandi, I love that name. Is that your real name or is that your stage name?
No, that's my real name. Yeah.
It's amazing. That's awesome. Well, I love it. My wife and I considered naming one of our son Justice, because I just want a cool name that's strong.
That is a cool name. I like that. It
Well,
has meaning, strength and meaning.
It does strengthen, yeah. And Fox does as well. So I just want you to know it's an incredible name.
And that's how I came up with my business name, Smart as a Fox. So
Smart as a fox. I know. So
it
I
just
got your
came
email.
together.
So I'm going to introduce you here in a minute, Sandi, but I want the world to know you because you're an incredible human. But when I got your, the other day, or weeks ago now, I got an email from you. I was like, man, Smart as a Fox, that's an incredible name. And then that was your name. And I thought, that's pretty cool. That's awesome. That's great. Good for you. Well, like I said, so I want to introduce you to our audience. We are Rally Point Podcast, and our big idea, and it's crazy, I know, but our idea is that you can have all the tools and technology in the world, but if you don't meet people where they are with a meaningful message and activate them by mobilizing them, pun intended, it does no good, right? So the challenge that I often find is that everybody runs around, Sandi, with a tool like a hammer, and they go whacking on stuff without a clear
Whack-a-mole.
plan. Like whack-a-mole, exactly. Yeah, we're playing whack-a-mole with donors. And then some Yahoo vendor comes along with a crazy, beard and says, oh, you need this. And that's like not helpful. So I'm like, okay, let's slow down a bit. Let's bring on the experts who know what they're talking about. Let's get their advice and their input. And let's make sure that we're creating actual solutions and not just waving around a hammer, trying to get everybody to whack stuff, right?
Sounds
So
great.
that is what we do here at Rally Point. So why don't you introduce us a little bit about the woman named Sandi, what you do, and tell us about you and your work.
So I've been in the nonprofit and political digital space for over 20 years. Now I'm making myself feel really old
I
saying
know
that
you
out
started when
loud.
you were 5.
Exactly, when I was 5. And I really, got my start, being that young millennial who was in the comms team and was like, we should do text, we should do social media. Oh, we should have a Facebook page. Oh, we should, be on Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And that started an email program, right? And as I, continued to be in the space and there started to be actual roles with online or digital in the title, I started to come into those roles. And, like a lot of my peers, I rose up in the ranks and was doing some really great work in that digital space for nonprofit organizations. And I really fell in love with it. And then I was introduced to text messaging at one of the organizations I was working at. And I was like, wow, everyone should be doing this. Why isn't anyone like in our space? We were, nonprofits were a little bit slower to adapt, and then political as well. And now I've been doing text messaging strategy for over 10 years. I got my start at a smaller nonprofit, and then I went over to Planned Parenthood and started their text messaging program. And saw over 1,000% growth in the time that I was there, did some really engaging mobilization, right, via text message. And like you said before, it's about meeting people where they are. And really, everyone is on their mobile phones. We have 98% of Americans have a mobile phone. 90% are smartphones now. So, I mean, this is where people want us to engage with them. And unlike other methods, right, other channels, we can actually have a conversation and really form community and do that community building via text. The problem we're seeing in this space, unfortunately, is it being misused. And folks like me are really out there doing trainings and trying to push those best practices so that it really can be used for the benefit of these nonprofits doing really strong mission-oriented work.
Yeah, no, I love it. So let's double tap a little bit on the statement that you just made about it being misused. I want to drill into that a little bit more. How often do you see it misused, and in what you're seeing?
So I think it more so in the political space than the nonprofit space. But the problem is
Yeah,
a lot of these political professionals who, and not to their fault because they think this is the way that they're supposed to, this is how they were trained to do texting
sure.
because as they were told to do by whoever was their superior, then when they
Mhm,
left said political campaign, they got a job at a nonprofit. And
mhm,
that's what I'm trying to kind of fight against. In the political space, what we're seeing is a couple different things. Number one, we're seeing a lot of cold texting without a strong ROI, just straight up hitting people up for money
yeah,
without developing a relationship, without
mhm,
understanding what these voters and individuals and donors are looking to do. It's a really bad practice to just cold text someone without permission to text. Even worse, to hit them up for money, cold texting.
mhm,
So one of the things that's one of the things I'm seeing number one in this space. And then especially number two is that lack of opt-in. Now,
mhm,
there is a time and a place to contact voters without an opt-in. And that's really if you're providing a civic service, right? You are saying, hey, here's information to apply for a mail in ballot, right? Here is information on how to go vote, right? Here's
yeah,
what you need to know, you know? So in those cases, I think that's okay. But
mhm,
what we're seeing, unfortunately, in the political space is more and more of folks just blanket texting and asking for money to folks
yeah.
that who have no idea who these candidates are. And that's something a trend that I'd like to see fade. And
You and me
the
both.
con- and the concern, honestly, like I mentioned before, is that a lot of these professionals who are working in the political space, the campaign ends and they have to find a new job. And a lot of the times they end up in the nonprofit space thinking this is
Mhm,
the right way to text
yeah,
as opposed to understanding, the goal of texting being engagement and mobilizing and community building, right?
yeah,
And so that's one of the things I'd like to, as my mission, right? As an expert in this field and as someone who cares deeply about the work these nonprofits are doing, but also like honestly for political as well. Like let's move away from this. Let's actually, text people to say, hey, sign up to phone bank. Hey, join me for a virtual town hall, right? Not,
yeah.
hey, give me money, even though you have no idea who I am, right?
That's right.
Um, let's change that. Let's change that dynamic.
Yeah. No, I love it, Sandy, and I'm a big believer in your message. So preach it. I like
Preaching.
it. Preach it. That's great. Yeah, it's funny because I run into this, and I know you do too. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the election cycle, the last election cycle we just had, I had so many people say, "Well, we don't want to," like it was really hard to sell text messaging when everybody's getting scammed and spammed, right?
Right.
And I had to back up and like that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about permission based, meet people where they are, and
Right.
get consent. This is human-centered texting, which is why we
Right.
registered the trademark, right? So it's
Right.
human-centered messaging, which
Right.
implies consent, right? So I love it, and you're right. And not only do these people look for jobs in the nonprofit world when there are no political campaigns to run, but we have
Yeah.
entire companies who, one
Yeah.
day they're sending millions of messages for the political parties, and then they turn right around and start trying to send messages for nonprofits, and they just really chew through their donor list, and it's not the same strategy.
No, it's
Not
a
even
burn and
good.
churn strategy that
Mhm.
really has no place in the
Yeah,
space. And
yeah,
we need to move away from as fast as possible.
yeah, yeah,
um,
and I encourage my customers, I'm like, "Hey, I'm not gonna point fingers, I'm not gonna name any names, but just go pull state registrations for some of these companies and see that they actually have 5 or 6 LLCs that they're running because they're all afraid of getting sued," right?
yeah,
So, like, that's a problem. If you have to
it's a
hide
problem.
behind some kind of a straw man company, that's a
Yeah,
problem.
it's a
Yeah,
problem
no,
for
I hear
sure.
you. Yeah. Well, good. So, when you start working with a nonprofit, like, what do you typically look for when it comes to engagement or communications? Like, when's a good indicator that they are prime for the work that you're doing?
I mean, I think it's really an option for any nonprofit, right? So I don't think I like say, "Oh, you're not ready for this," right? If they are interested and have thought about it, they're ready for it. So I wouldn't say that there are folks who aren't ready to start a text messaging program. I think
Mm,
really what it is understanding where that text messaging program fits within your larger ecosystem and
yeah.
fully making sure. So, one of the things I see a lot with organizations is they silo their texting, social media, email, etc., into different departments. And they're not always talking to each other in the best way to
Mhm.
ensure that they're really in sync in terms of their strategies. So
Yep.
a lot of the time, like, for instance, when I first started at Planned Parenthood, right, I had to fight in meetings to be like, okay, hey, so we're doing this email. That what are we doing for text? And so I would make sure that we weren't just like othering it as and a lot of people also what I see, unfortunately, a lot of the time, ooh, I'm losing my earbud. A lot of the time is that they'll write an email and then they'll literally copy and paste that email into a text message. That doesn't work either, right?
Mhm.
You're like, oh, but we're still sending a text. I'm like, no, because what works on social media, what works on email, and what works on text is different. It's a different
Mhm.
medium. It's a different type of channel and you need to really understand that channel. The thing about texting is it's more dynamic, it's more interactive, and
Mhm.
it's about having a conversation, which is where that
It's more
engagement piece
immediate.
comes in. Yeah, exactly. It's more immediate. You can have that one on one conversation. You can have that back and forth that you can't really do on email or social media in the same way. So I try to remind people that, especially if they're coming to me to help an existing program and then also, if they're looking to start a program, just letting them understand that the differences of the channel
Mhm.
comparatively, but the ways that it can work in tandem with those other channels in a
Mhm.
really beneficial
No.
way for their organization.
Yeah. So it sounds like, and just to repeat back, it sounds like the answer is not siloing the communication channel. So it's
Yep.
working in tandem with what you're doing, but also recognizing the power of the channel and the uniqueness of it, right? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I think that's a great way to summarize it.
That's awesome. Very good. So starting from what they're doing on social, Twitter, I'm with you on that. Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, whatever, right? So all their social outreach, but
Yep.
taking what they're doing there, taking their email newsletter, their quarterly, their monthly, whatever, right? Their outreach,
Yeah.
and then backing up and saying, okay, where does mobile fit? Because chances are, I don't know about you, but most of my social media interaction is actually on my phone,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm checking
and
my email on my phone too. We're doing
are
it
you?
all on
Yeah.
our phones. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, we're a
Yeah.
digital world, but we're also a mobile world, right? Mobile first.
Mm,
And so we
Mobile
tend
first.
to. Yeah. In fact, I don't I'm one of these guys that prefer not to check emails when I'm at my desk because that's when I'm actually getting work done. So I will
Good for
wait till I'm
you.
standing in. Yeah, I'll be waiting until I'm in line somewhere. I'll be like, "Oh, I probably should check my inbox today. I'm at the bank. This is a better time to clear my inbox,
Box,
while I'm
yeah.
waiting for the
No,
teller."
I do
Yeah.
that when I watch TV at night. I delete, 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 delete all the
Yeah.
junk mail. I try to stay on
Yeah.
top of the important stuff during the day,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
all the junk stuff or like newsletters, I
Yeah.
go through that then.
Well, Sandy, I don't know if it was something you posted on LinkedIn or social or if it was a conversation we had, but some reason I remember you
Mhm.
saying something about open rate, yeah, 90 something percent, great, but you focus on other things. Like walk me
Oh yeah,
through.
because
Yeah.
first of all, let's talk about the fact that open rate is not a thing for texting, right?
Yeah.
So open rate, it's based on a number that the carriers put together literally 10 plus years ago, where they
Yeah.
said that, the number of people who read a text message when they first get it is 90%, right?
Yeah.
And they read it within the first 3 minutes of receiving it, first 90 seconds of receiving it.
Yep.
And that's a
Sure.
stat that I've been using since I came into the texting space, right?
Hmm.
Since I started doing text messaging. It's an
Yep.
existing stat. It's an interesting stat. It has not been updated. And on top of that, we don't actually have real open rates. So unlike email,
Hmm.
which as we can all acknowledge is a little skewed as well nowadays in terms of
Hmm.
open rates for email, but we can't see, oh, this person read the message because we don't
Sure.
have read receipts. That will change because RCS is coming
Hmm.
and RCS will give us read receipts. So we
Hmm.
will be able to see who's actually reading our messages.
Yep.
But for the time being, because RCS has not been fully adopted in this space and is also unfortunately cost prohibitive for a lot of
Hmm.
organizations, and it'll take some time, especially for nonprofits, to
Hmm.
start using it. But we don't have open rates. What we look at instead are engagement rates. We
Yep.
look at responses. If you ask a yes or no question or a multiple choice question, they respond, right? If you ask a general open ended question, right? We look at those, right? That's really important for engagement. And then we also look at obviously click through rates, right?
Yep.
That's our next one, right? We look to see how many folks are actually clicking on that link we send them to do an action or to make a donation. And then lastly, conversions, right? How many people
Yeah.
took that action? How many people donated?
Yeah.
And those are the stats that really matter. And one would argue those are the stats that really matter for all the other channels as well. And so those are the ones that we look at more.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And it, because I think it's important. I think a lot of vendors talk about 90 something percent open rate. And you're like, well, silly, you got to open the message to clear it,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to open to delete
Yeah.
or open to report it as spam
Mhm.
or to
Yeah.
text stop, right? To
Yeah. Yeah.
unsubscribe.
Yeah.
I mean, I want folks to opt out if they don't want to get messages from me. I will say that
Yeah.
straight up. But
Yeah.
at the same time, yeah, that's not what the stats that are going to be
Yeah.
helpful to us. Yeah.
And if you have a vendor, Sandy, says, "Oh, our reply rate's 47%," you're like, "Great. How many of those were stop?"
Right, exactly, exactly. Oh my gosh. Like, exactly. That
Don't be
and
smarty
I'm like,
pants. Give
"Why
me
are
the
you
raw data,
including that?"
man. Come on.
Like
Yeah.
like, your opt-out should be very different from your response rate, like, they
Please.
should not be the same, and, you're right, unfortunately, I do see that in the data
Yeah.
for a lot of these platforms, and
Yeah.
no, well, that's not helpful to your customer at all.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Show me
thinking
the money.
a lot of
Yeah.
them are literally thinking, "Oh, I have a 4.7%, you know, a response rate," when 4% of them are opt-outs,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, and
Yeah.
it's
One of the best things that I find with nonprofits is that there's a lot of this talk about analytics, clicks, conversions, blah 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 blah.
yeah,
It's all. And I listen. I'm a marketer. I'm guilty as charged, right? But at
yeah,
the end of the day, show me the money. How much was raised attributed to mobile? So whether that's a unique
yeah.
landing page that you're texting people to, so you know that
And
they
that's what
did
you
it.
should be doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should have
exactly.
those, like, those markers in your link so you know that this donation or this
Came from that
action
medium. Yeah,
came from that link or to that specific landing page that was for
yeah,
this purpose, so that you can really see the difference between what's coming in over email, social
yeah.
versus mobile.
I
And
love it.
I try to get folks to make sure to do that too.
Yeah. So if you and that's a great point. So when you walk into a customer, virtually or otherwise, for the first time, a client of yours,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Hey, here I'm here to help you." What's like the first thing that you typically do for them?
Well, first we have a conversation
Yeah.
over, what they're currently doing, right?
Mhm.
And what they think is working and what isn't.
Yeah. So
And
kind of get
why
clear on their goals and where they're at today compared to
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
understanding where they're at, right?
I love it.
And where they'd like to be. I think I don't tell folks what to do right in that first
Mhm.
conversation, right? I hear them out, I hear what they're looking to do. And then part of my process is I always do a set of discovery meetings
Okay.
before, jumping into the full work that I'm doing for them, be it,
Mhm.
writing a strategy, helping them with a growth campaign, or, running their program, or doing a full audit of their current texting program. I
Mhm.
always have that discovery period where I have those conversations and I can kind of gauge from that what's working and what isn't working just based on that.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's smart because I think anything else would be malpractice, right? We wouldn't want to go to a
Yeah.
doctor, and we've gone to doctors like this. I don't know about you, but like
Yeah.
they walk the room and they start telling you what's going to be like, and then they leave, and you're like, well, that was painful.
Well, and every org is different, just like every patient is different, right? So, like, what I would tell one organization to do is not something I would tell another organization to
Yeah,
do, just based on their mission, based on how their digital presence is currently set up.
their
Like, it'll
audience.
definitely,
Mhm,
yeah, their audience, it'll definitely vary, right?
mhm,
And so I don't blanket walk in and say you need to do this.
mhm.
Though
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
will say,
discovery.
I mean, engagement is one of those things, so I shouldn't
Yeah,
say that, but, like, everyone should be
yeah,
engaging.
yeah,
But beyond that, really, there are subtle differences
yeah. No,
depending
I
on the
love it.
org.
Yeah, I love your heart for that. That's incredible. That's amazing. Okay, good. So, and when you walk into an organization, do you see some patterns that kind of emerge that are pretty normal? You're like, you pretty much know this is going to be the case when you work with a new client.
I mean, I think a lot of the time, a lot of orgs have been wanting to do texting for a while, but
Mhm.
they always feel like the timing isn't right, budget wise or staffing wise.
Mhm.
And it's really about trying to get them to feel comfortable enough to include it in their program and getting them to feel comfortable enough to, running a full digital program that includes texting. A lot of the times again, it's kind of othered, right? It's like, oh, this thing, this cool new thing, and it's not even that new now. But for a lot of
Yeah.
nonprofits, they're still not doing it.
Mhm.
So for them, it is new, and it is something that feels like a little too far out in this to to do, like, oh, we're already, trying to do all these things. I don't know. I know we should be, but I don't know if we can.
Yeah.
And so kind of get them to feel more comfortable about the benefits of it and the lift that it'll take to do it.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's so smart. Such good advice. Well, hey, that's incredible. And I think so you've been in this space for a little while, it sounds like, and you've been doing a lot of the
While,
newer
yeah.
digital stuff. Yeah. So a lot of the newer digital stuff. How do you feel like mobile fits with the broader scheme of, like, you mentioned email and social and all that? Do you feel like it comes like, should they get email first down and then do text messaging? Is there like a step or sequence to that? Or how do you typically see that play out with the results that you're looking for?
I mean, are you talking about, like, should we send an email first and then send a text message as a follow-up? Or are you talking about, like, as a platform, should we be doing email for
Yeah.
our organization before we even start doing social media or start doing,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
just
great question.
to
Probably more the latter, because what I find is that people
okay,
come in and they're looking for a tool, right? They're like, "Oh, we need this
yeah.
tool and we need this thing." And they're
I
looking
mean,
for tools. They're not really looking at a plan, right?
I would hope that they already had an email program because I feel
Yeah.
like when I first started in this space, like, there
Yeah.
were plenty of orgs that didn't even have an email program. So, like, I was
Mhm.
the one starting the email programs. So I think we're past that. Most
Mhm.
orgs will have an email program. How active it is a whole
Mhm.
other question. And I mean, if their email program isn't active, I would say they're probably not ready
Mhm.
for another channel. What I would say is if they have an active email program and they are on social media already, before adding, say, another social channel, I would first consider adding mobile over another social channel.
Mhm.
So, like,
Yeah.
if they're already on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, but are thinking of getting into TikTok, which is very video heavy, right? And it can be a lot of work depending on the staff you have to implement that. I would emphasize trying mobile ahead of doing TikTok, especially
That makes sense.
capacity wise.
That
Yeah.
checks out. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, because it seems like, and I ask this as a vendor. We do obviously email and text message, but a lot of times I
Hmm.
have people come to us and they're like, "Yeah, we need a texting program," and I'm like, "Great, walk me through how you're currently doing email." And they have a
Right.
program. They're just not really simple questions like how much are you raising through email? They have a hard time answering those. Those are real basic
Right.
questions, right?
Yeah, I think if you run into that, clearly they need to get their email program in a
Mhm.
better place before they can even add a new channel because what's going to happen is they're just going to waste money
Yeah,
because they're going
agree.
to put money into, getting the number and paying a certain amount per month. Hopefully not, but, like,
Yeah,
depending on what platform they choose, right? They're basically throwing money out the window because they don't have a strategy in place. So unless they already have, existing strategy for for their email program that's currently running, right?
hmm
This would be in addition to that. I and I wouldn't start something new until they have really one of those channels like
I love it.
fully. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally respect that, and I that resonates, that checks. So yeah, we definitely make sure that whatever vendor you're working with can help you create that analytics and visibility across all your channels, not just SMS, so that when you
Mhm.
do stand up SMS or text messaging, you're really clear on how that's moving the needle, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good, good, good. Well, hey, we're coming almost up on time, but yeah,
Yeah.
anything that you want to kind of close us out with
Yeah.
that you've learned over the years, if you
I'm
could go back in
actually
time and be like, Sandy, do this, like what would that
Well,
have been?
I actually just wanted to plug, I don't know when this is gonna get out there, but, I'm gonna be doing a training on Thursday, November, 5th for the Digital Strategy Summit. It's a
Nice.
virtual strategy summit for nonprofits that is, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then the following Wednesday, Thursday, Friday as well, so 6
Is that this
days.
week? Is that this week?
That is this week and next week.
Next week, okay. Very good.
And folks can get 20% off if they use the discount code FOX20, so FOX. And I can give you that link to
Yeah,
to
we'll put
put
it in the
that up
show
there.
notes. Yeah, definitely in the description, but
Yeah,
just give us the URL on audio if people are listening.
www.centerfordigitalstrategy.com
Mhm.
/summit dash registration.
Okay, so yeah, good. And
I'll
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 read it back in and put it in the notes below.
yeah.
So, I'll post a link in the description below, and then the, code was FOX20, FOX20
Yep,
for 20% off. Very, very good.
correct.
Good. And what are you speaking on during the event?
I'm talking about the changing texting landscape in 2025 into 2026. So all
Yeah.
those changes that are happening to make it so that you can make sure that your texting program is in the right shape to adapt to those changes.
Yeah, Definitely. And I want to hear more about RCS too. We're excited about it over here. It's
Yeah.
something that I think that'll be next level, but it is a looks pricey, but there's some ways around that. So we'll
Yeah.
talk about that when the time comes.
I'll be talking about that in the training as well.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts that you want to close us out with? And then we will call it a wrap.
I think, just remember that these are your supporters and your community members, and you want them to feel like they're a part of your organization. So when you're talking to them, make sure you're having a conversation and recognizing and respecting their role within your org.
Yeah, I love it. So make sure you're meeting people where they are in the moment, having a
Yep.
conversation with them. Ask people, it's human to human, and for the love
Yeah.
of God, allow them to reply to the message and actually have a conversation if it's important to them.
Actually have a
Basic
conversation.
things like
Yeah.
that. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Very, very good.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Sandy, thanks for your time today and for your insights. It's amazing to get to know you and to work with you. So thanks again. And this
Thanks,
is a
James.
wrap with your Rally Point podcast. And then your website one more time, just so I have it, and I'll put it in the
It's
notes as well.
Yep. It's smartasafox.
Smartasafox.org. Very good. Thanks again.
Hey, have a good one.